generations from all different generations coming together as we hit the final season. As we hit the final week of the NFL season, we need people from all different aspects to break down this wide open competition known as the AFC and NFC. So here we go. Final month of the season podcast, and let's get to it. Who's joining us today for some NFL chat? We have, of course, the great Alex Ranniello. What's going on, Alex?
Oh, man, thanks for having me again.
As always. And we have Ramblin Russ Miller joining us today to talk some NFL. What's up, Russ?
Ramblin's ready to rumble.
Oh, man, this is going to be fun. I've been looking forward to this all day. And let's hop to it right now. So lots of teams to discuss, lots of headlines taking place. So where do we go? So why don't we start with, the team we talk about the most, the New York Football Giants right now at 4-7. They relieved the duties of Jason Garrett last week, put Freddie Kitchens in, and the defense has a stellar game, and they do beat the Philadelphia Eagles, are now 4-7. Daniel Jones has a stiff neck. Looks like he's not playing, and Mike Glennon's coming in. And as we hit this new offensive era where Saquon Barkley's still underachieving, we have Kenny Golladay not getting the ball after signing him, and then Kadarius Toney gives us some moments of excitement, and then he seems just like another failed Gettleman selection. So I'll hand this off to Russ first. Russ, you're a season ticket holder for the Giants. You're as loyal as they come. Right now at 4-7, heading into week 13, it seems just the same stuff over and over again. So why don't I hand it off to you and tell us what your thoughts about the football Giants right now?
Optimism is I've learned to be optimistic until I'm no longer can be optimistic, right? Until they're eliminated mathematically. So I know they're on the fringe of being in the hunt for a playoff spot at 4-7. But now that they lost Danny Dimes, or Daniel Jones, if you want to call him, I think he had one huge game this year, threw for over 400 yards. But up until recently, he was having a decent year. The last couple games, he hasn't really played that well. Now, firing Jason Garrett was definitely the right move, but they should have also fired David Gettleman along with him.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the Giants go, this week they're going to need their defense right now to win some games for them. That's the Kenny kid's playing great. Miami is not really an explosive offensive team, so they kind of match up well with the Dolphins, I think. And it's a very winnable game. The Dolphins have won several games in a row. It's on the road. It'll be a tough game for the Giants. They're probably a small underdog. And, if they could get 2 games in a row, I don't think they've won 2 in a row all year. So this is a big game for them to get to 5-7. Then they play at LA Chargers, which, you know what? They play everybody close, the Chargers. So that's either way. That'll be a toss-up game. Yep. Maybe they get to 6-7 and then come home and they get those Dallas Cowboys.
That's right.
Dallas is about to start their normal swoon. So, I give the Giants a better. They're 4-7. They got 6 games left. If you look at their schedule, they got Washington at home. They got Philly on the road.
Yep.
They should have beat Washington the first time. They already beat Philadelphia. Okay. And they play the Bears. 4 out of 6 games. I mean, they could finish with 8 wins. They could legitimately finish 8-9 this year. Will that be enough to get them in the playoffs? Will they beat Carolina? They beat the Saints. They could sneak in as that 7th seed. I'm not saying they will. They're definitely not going to win the division. They got to catch Dallas. They're way behind them, so they won't catch them. But they could maybe sneak in for the 7th last seed at 8-9. But that's optimistic right there, and I think that. I think the jury for Giant fans, most Giant fans at this point would like to see them go get Russell Wilson, go get a quarterback, a legitimate quarterback now, and get rid of Jones, draft a quarterback and develop a quarterback behind a Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers or someone a known commodity. I think that's where Giant fans are with that quarterback position. The position that the jury is still out on is the head coach, right? We know they're going to get a new general manager. The head coach, I think the jury is still out on him. I mean, you got to win a couple games in a row here. You got to prove yourself as a good coach. The defensive coordinator, after those 2 games against Dallas and the Rams earlier this year, they've kind of settled in here. The defensive coordinator has settled in. The offensive coordinator, I don't know what they were doing against Tampa Bay. I mean, they're down 17-10 in the third quarter, or they're down a touchdown in the third quarter with the ball in field goal range, and they don't put points on the board against that team. They decided to go for it, and the rest of the game they got shut out. You gotta think, and so Judge makes some awkward moves, awkward game moves I've seen, or timeouts and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a lot to learn, but he wins all the press conferences. He doesn't really say stupid things. And he's definitely a type A personality, so he's handled ownership well. And so the jury's out on it. I mean, I definitely think that the Giants, unless they finish 4-13, unless they lose the rest of their games, barring them not losing the rest of their games or going 5 wins, barring something like that, and them not competing in some of these games, barring that, they will bring him back, playoffs or not, for another year, for a third season. He will be back. They're not going to change coaches again, right? For the 4th time in 7 years. Like, they're not going to do that. They're just not. The franchise is too stable to do that. What they are probably going to do is promote the assistant GM, who's been with the team for many years, into the GM role, which won't make fans happy because it'll still be the same old Giants with Gettleman, with John Mara calling the football shots to a certain extent. So it's you hope Judge can get this thing turned around, and you hope the defense can win us some games here down the stretch. But they have offensive weapons.
Right.
They gotta use those 2 draft picks next year on linemen, both an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman. That's what they need to draft, the best linemen they can, offensively and defensively, with their first round. They're going to get 2 top 15 picks, let's say. They need to focus on the line. But from a Giant standpoint, hey, it's December 1st, and we're not mathematically out of it. We're not an embarrassment. We're not an embarrassment. We really aren't. I mean, they beat the Eagles. No one thought they were going to win that game. And I think they got another prize for the Eagles when they go to Philadelphia. Don't forget, the Eagles took their starting quarterback out of that game last year, the last game of the year. Ownership doesn't forget. That was a must-win for Coach Judge last Sunday, a few days ago. That was a must-win for him. He had all Strahan people there. He had, it was a big day for the Giant organization. He had to win that game. He did. He had to beat Carolina to prove he's better than Matt Rule. He won that game. It seems like he just has to get something pieced together here. Last year down the stretch, they won a lot of games to make it respectable. I see the same thing happening this year.
Look at that. And, great descriptions, Russ. And I guess my only other question is, and if regarding this, say they do end only 1 game under 500, and knowing the Maras, the way they're thinking right now, and obviously you said the bad PR hit they've taken, getting almost booed off the stage for the Strahan ceremony, the Eli one, and you hear about John being so mad he throwing trash cans, but things have been so stalemate. Now, if they go 8-9, Danny Dimes or not, would you personally be okay with that they feel it's justified to keep him, or they go get a Russell Wilson, a Aaron Rodgers, if you want to think that far ahead?
No, I think that's a great question. I think I would. I think if they could, I don't know how good the quarterback class is this year coming in. So if they would have to make a trade for a Wilson or a Rodgers to make it worthwhile for me as a fan. I do think, though, that if they finish 8-9 and Jones is able to get back on the field in a couple weeks and finish the year and do well, they're going after linemen. And I wouldn't recommend them taking a Russell Wilson or an Aaron Rodgers. I mean, they're past their prime. Okay? It's like the Knicks with Kemba, right? Kemba Walker's past his prime right now.
And he's out of the
rotation. It's
rotation.
like any other, not to compare sports, Max Scherzer. He's damaged goods. The Mets paid a lot of money, but you can't say you're giddy yet as a Met fan, knowing that this guy could break his arm. He could hurt himself in the first week. Let's hold our optimism and our enthusiasm about that stuff for now. But as far as the Giants go, if they finish 8-9, Jones will be back. Now, will they extend him? Extend his contract, give him, I don't know. That's a question for them. That's why that's their lane, right? As a Giants fan, though, if they finish 8-9, that's going to mean Jones probably helped them win a few of these games down the stretch, and made them make the playoffs. And honestly, I would keep him. I mean, he's an athletic quarterback, seems to be smart, seems to be level-headed. He doesn't see ghosts. He's better than some of these quarterbacks that people were touting ahead of him. So, like Haskins, I mean, we could go back to the draft, but the jury's out on him, and also the head coach. The last 6 games, right? Win 4 of the 6, and they're also well in Giant land. You're going to make the playoffs at 8-9, though. That I'm sure of. If you look at schedules and everything, 8-9 is going to be good enough for them because they have some tiebreakers.
Well, interesting. And hey, we made a big push last year, even at 6-10. And as you mentioned, the Peterson game, taking him out. And I guess maybe that
cost him his job. He got fired over that.
Yeah, I guess it's just maybe Joe Judge is a better second half coach. But as you said, the jury's still out. Okay, actually, one additional question regarding the Giants before we switch it up with Saquon. Now, I know he's been injured, but he's nowhere close to where he was in his rookie year. He's also up for an extension that some people think he doesn't deserve. What do you do? And this is the big fatal mistake that could be known as in Gettleman's career, picking a running back at number 2 that underachieves. And so far, it seems that
two things. The same horrendous. People that wanted Barkley, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, gotta draft Saquon. Look at how exciting he was. Everyone knew he was exciting coming in. And his rookie year was phenomenal. So let's hold off the bashing of the Saquon pick. That wasn't a horrendous pick. He was a special player. What do you call it? A transformational player, even at running back. That being said, his career is his career. He's injury prone. He gets dinged up, nicked up. He's injury prone right now. So Booker seems like a valuable backup. I'm not sure they're going to give him a lot of money to keep him, Saquon. Would I keep him? Obviously, but I would maneuver the money around. I mean, there you got to deal with a salary cap and all that. Again, that's for the GM. But I would, if you're asking me, do I keep Saquon Barkley? Of course I do. Why wouldn't I? I mean, the guy that we need back on the field is Tony, the young Joker. He's a playmaker at the wide receiver spot, and he's going to make everybody else around them better. And they haven't had a healthy team for the skill positions the whole year.
Yeah, and it goes to show, but yet there have been some people who stepped up and played just as well. So, like you said, this is a crucial final 6 weeks for the Giants, and if they're as good as they were supposed to be, they will make up for the lost time. You have any thoughts, Alex, on these G-men before we move on?
Yeah, no, I mean, I just think Gettleman's got to go. I mean, I hear everything you guys are saying. I thought that if you were going to make a real playoff push by being that second seed in the NFC East this year, I think that the one thing you had to do was find out by Thanksgiving if Daniel Jones can play. And the issue is they even botched that. They can't seem to figure out if he can really play or not, because they haven't been able to shore up the offensive line. So I just think that has to be placed at Gettleman's feet. 10 touchdowns and 7 picks, not going to get it done for the year. And I understand that the O-line's been banged up, but that was kind of the one objective thing you had to find out by the end of the year if you're Giants fans. And now you go into the offseason, whether you're finish 8-9 or not, or you tank the rest of the year, you still don't really know what Daniel Jones is unless he has a miraculous turn of events through the end of the year. So that's got to be disconcerting, because if you're Russell Wilson or you're Aaron Rodgers and you're still in win now mode, you're not going to go somewhere where you're going to be completely vulnerable to a poor O-line. So the front office needs to figure out how they're going to resolve it. And I think firing Jason Garrett was just too little too late. I just thought it was like a bit of a pity party. If they're gonna make a run down the stretch of the year, I think they have to really rely on that defense, because they've been in 26th in scoring and rushing a game, and they need to like really rely on the defense to carry them through the end of the year.
Right. Well, as we said, we will see if our predictions become true. One team that has really been interesting over the past few weeks, the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick and Mac Jones are one of the top teams in the AFC East. Sorry, not only the AFC East, but in the AFC in general right now. How do we feel about it? Are the Patriots officially back? I'll open it to the floor. What do you guys think? Are the Patriots back? Should we be legitimately concerned about them, having their revenge tour really with the Alabama quarterback leading it?
Oh, they're back, man. They're back. They got all the entire formula for a winning team. They got Mac Jones, a young, vulnerable quarterback, playing game manager. They got a stout running game, a top 5 defense, top 10 if you really naysay them. The coach looks on point. The front office is good. They're gonna be back for a while. I mean, 7 of 8, the last 8 games, 14th in passing, 12th in rushing. He just looks composed and calm in the pocket. And like I said, they're playing really well-balanced football at the right time of the year. So I think they're back, and I think they're going to be either a 2 or 3 seed going into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. You feel the same way, Russ?
I agree. Obviously, I mean, results are there. 5-0 on the road is most impressive. They haven't lost on the road this year, which is opposite of what you think when you think of New England. You always know they win at home with the footballs and the speakers and all the tricks they have up their sleeves at home. That being said, Belichick has proven this year, I think, why he's one of the greatest of all time as a head coach. We know Brady's great. Look what he's doing in Tampa Bay. So we have to give Brady props too with that. But Belichick, listen, Mac Jones is a strong, he's a strong candidate for offensive rookie of the year, and he should be. And you got to give them their props. They do have 2 games, though, with this Bills Mafia team. And the Bills are going to be tough. And that division is going to come down to those 2 games with the Bills, okay? And I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Those 2 games are going to be very interesting. Exciting games for the NFL to watch, those 2 games. But, yeah, the Patriots are definitely back. And I think playoff football might be a little bit harder for them to get through, with a rookie quarterback in the playoffs. Might be a little bit different for that first-time experience for that. So I wouldn't necessarily put them in the AFC Championship game yet or in the Super Bowl. But I do think they're going to be reckoned with, like Alex said. And as far as the Chiefs go, when you look at the AFC, that's a team that I'd watch out for because they're starting to get their act together too. So it'll be very interesting, the AFC.
Look at that.
Don't sleep on that Colts game. I think it's week 16. They got to go to Indianapolis. That might be a tough game.
The Patriots go.
Yeah, the Patriots. Excuse me.
Yep. The Colts are. You're right. So the Patriots have some tough games left, but they got a great coach. Their offensive coordinator is a guy whose stock is probably rising every week as Mac Jones does well. And there's going to be a team that's going to want to pluck him away. He'll get another shot at being a head coach very soon. Josh McDaniels. You watch. He'll be the hottest offseason
commodity.
Yeah, definitely.
Look at that. And speaking of the other top AFC teams, the 2 to mention, you have the Tennessee Titans and Baltimore Ravens, both at 8-4. The Titans are still winning, even with their game-changing player and Derrick Henry out with his injury. Some people think he might be able to pull it off and play in the playoffs. Some think he's completely done, but since then they have been able to stay afloat. Thanks to Ryan Tannehill and Matt Vrabel leading that. Then you have the Ravens, the best team in terms of making comebacks. I think they have 5 fourth quarter comebacks with LaMar Jackson. Obviously, Lamar's been criticized for not winning in the big game, but at least for now, he's getting that momentum up. And, well, when you have people like Hollywood Brown making noise and stuff and, on their 4th string running back, the Ravens keep winning. Now, out of those 2 teams, do we think that they can still stay afloat and maybe have a better chance in that AFC Championship game?
Well, the Harbaugh brothers are having a great year. Michigan finally beat Ohio State, right?
Yeah.
And you got to give him props too. But the Ravens, I think, have a better chance for whatever reason. I think they have a little bit better overall team. And without Henry, Tennessee's lost their last 2 games, Matt. So I think what happened was, what's going to happen here is watch out for the Colts. Actually, like I like what Alex said with the Colts, but I think that the Ravens have a better shot to make noise. But I think at the end of the day, if I had to predict an AFC winner right now, I'm going to go with experience. I'm going to take them in the Kansas City team to go to the Super Bowl. If you had to ask me my prediction today.
Okay.
Wow.
With those other two teams, Alex, do you also feel the same way Russ feels?
Similar fashion. I think Tennessee might be on a slight downturn just with Henry's, questions going into the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're the same team offensively. I think Tannehill, it's a little too much weight to bear for him. No matter how many schematic things they dial up, especially with Vrabel in his mind. But no, I trust the infrastructure of Baltimore. I trust LaMar Jackson, despite, his shortcomings in playoffs past. Yeah, it's just been, it's been a season of adversity. A lot of guys are getting hurt in opportune times, and the teams that have been able to recalibrate and get off the mat, so to speak, are the ones that are going to be, at the cream of the crop at the end of the year. So with that said, I like Baltimore. I like the changes that they've made. I think that the running game has really it's carried them to the regular season, but you start to see LaMar Jackson starting to feel his oats a little more in the passing game, which has been nice to see, because I never really bought into the fallacy that he doesn't show up in primetime. I just think that he's had trouble with Kansas City the past 3 years, which is kind of everybody's issue, So I think they'll be there at the end of the year. And Tennessee, we'll see. I mean, luckily they don't have to play the Colts twice for the rest of the year, but no, I mean, they still got tough sledding, so we'll see how the AFC South winds up.
And I just looked at the schedule. Buffalo is hosting New England next Monday night. That's going to be a huge
game
watch for everybody. I wonder if the Manning brothers will be on that game on ESPN too. Do you guys watch the ESPN cast or the Manning cast when it's on? I'm just curious.
I watch the Manning cast, and it is harder to watch the game, but it's just fun. It's like hanging out with the buddies, and no complaints from me there. And what about you, Alex? What do you do?
I'm a weirdo. I watch it silent because, objectively speaking, that's how they say you should always watch.
Really
it.
At the bar. Hey, fair enough, man.
Take all the emotion out of it.
You'll definitely hear no bias with that, and focusing on the other AFC dominant teams like we were talking about. You have the Chiefs, Bengals, and Bills all at 7-4, and then the Los Angeles Chargers are at 6-5. Reiterating what you said, Russ, you believe that the Chiefs are going to be in that AFC Championship game. At first, it wasn't looking so good, but they seem to be back to form, especially after defeating Dallas. I think that was a major statement game for them. You do have the Bengals, who people thought for a couple of weeks, including myself, that they might make a deep run with the combination of Burrow and Jamar Chase. And, well, I will look like a fool for saying that, but I will own up to it. And then, of course, the Bills being the Bills, though people thought that they would be dominant, they're still definitely above average team. They are, that, like you said, these two Monday night games are tonight. Next Monday night's game, and then the game after is when the division will be decided anyways. And Justin Herbert and the Chargers, some days you think this is one of the coolest quarterbacks around, and then sometimes he is a complete flop, and that not only hurts my fantasy team, but it makes you wonder, is this Charger team legit? And they have solid weapons on the ground and their offensive weapons, but for remaining teams, what do you think?
Yeah. Matt, I think the Bengals have a better chance to make a move here than the Chargers do. So if you were high on the Bengals earlier in another show that I missed, I think that's right on. I think the Bengals are a good football team this year, and they've proven it. They beat Pittsburgh again. I mean, Cincinnati's legitimate. They could surprise people, them or the Ravens. I don't know, but the Cincinnati with Burrow, they've improved quite a bit.
Oh, absolutely. It's just, I thought going into those weeks, like they would be dominant. They would be those Patriots, what they were looking like. Yeah. And of course, they are winning these games and beating the teams they're supposed to. But I just want to see, again, them playing like a real test game. Of
Well,
course,
a
they had.
touchdown win against the Chargers would do it for you this week.
Oh, absolutely. This literally will decide on what's it for all if they're good and legit, and then if the Chargers are what they are. So again, the jury's still out for sure. And let's just have some fun with it with those remaining AFC teams.
Absolutely.
So switching to the NFC for a bit. Where do I even start?
Can I comment real quick on the AFC?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I know right now it's like Buffalo, Kansas City, Cincinnati are right all around 7-4. I mean, I think looking at the schedules, I think Buffalo and Kansas City should be okay till the end of the season. I know they got to play New England twice, but Allen still looks great. The only issue I could be concerned with is the Tre'Davious White injury. That's going to be huge. You're going to be a little more vulnerable, but luckily Mac Jones isn't that kind of sharpshooter. I don't think he's going to be able to expose them the way people think that that defense is going to get exposed. Kansas City, they're hitting stride. They should probably win out looking all likelihood. I like Cincinnati. It just feels like they're a year away. I still think Burrow's got another step to take. And I looked at their last 6 games: Kansas City, Chargers, San Fran, and Baltimore. 4 of 6 that's brutal stretch. So I see them right near till the end of the year, but I think they're going to be kind of like Miami last year, where they're like 11-5 or 10-6 and just be on the outside looking in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And by the way, joining us, and this will be our last AFC team, let's say hello to our friend Teddy Marantz, who is joining the room right now. Dun, dun, dun. The anticipation is real as he's connecting his audio. He's in. We're waiting for that camera. There is the great Teddy Marantz. Thanks for joining us, Teddy. Now we're recording right now. You're looking great. Teddy, how are you doing? Alex, this is Russ Miller. Actually, Russ is a Stanford guy, Teddy. Teddy's from Stanford.
Yes, I am. How's everyone doing?
Good, man. Thanks for joining us.
So much better now that you are here. So, Teddy, let's put you on the spot. You're a big New York Jets fan. Boy, what a roller coaster of a season, even with only 3 wins. Now, I'll just throw the floor to you. Obviously, you've gone through a lot. Zach Wilson underachieving. Mike White, for a second, thinking he might be the Messiah in Tom Brady. And then only a couple weeks later, you're back with Zach Wilson. He had another bad game this past week. And now I think your team is, figuring themselves out still. You still don't know where they are. So that's what I'm getting. You follow them the best. So why don't you give us your thoughts if you want to rant, if you want to let those emotions out. Talk to us, Teddy. How you feeling about your Jets right now?
Not too emotional. I've been through it enough to this point where I'm not as emotional about this season so far.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of expected worse from Zach Wilson than we're getting. At the same time, I expected better, but I don't, now I'm kind of just lost. I guess the only bright side of this season that I've seen is that the system works. The system can work with a quarterback who can run it. You brought up Mike White, who kind of showed what someone can do in that, when thrust into that situation, who knows the system. Flacco and Josh Johnson looked all right in that same system. So I have hope for the future because of that system and because the offensive coaching staff looks all right. The jury's still up in there on Saleh, but we'll see. I'm hopeful, and I'm glad that Joe Douglas traded Jamal Adams for that first round pick because Seattle's terrible.
Yes, and that's going to be the next team we'll hit on after. But Alex, you're about to say something?
I want to ask a question for Teddy. You guys projected as it stands, you're going to have 2 top 5 picks. Do you guys trade back and fill out that roster, or do you go forward with the 2 top picks?
Depends where they end up. Right now it's I think 5 and 6. I might be wrong. 4 and 5, something like that.
Yes.
It depends where you end up, but if you could stay in that, if you keep 2 picks in the top 10, I'd have to probably keep them and potentially get 2 dangerous, big pieces who can, That goes a long way too. If you can hit on both those picks and they're top 10 worthy players, then that goes just as long a way as if you get, one in the top 5 and maybe one in the top 10 and maybe another one or two in the next 30 picks. They already have 2 second rounders too.
Okay.
So, I'm not as worried about trading back. Last year in hindsight might not have been such a bad idea, but this year I'm going to want to keep those picks.
Okay.
Just to confirm, you have the 4th and 5th pick as of today. And the Giants, actually, the Giants are 6 and 7. So wouldn't that be fun? But hey, New Year football for you, right? And
Teddy, 4 of the top 10 picks, they might as well do the draft at MetLife Stadium.
They had a Radio City Hall like they used to. Yeah. Okay. So Teddy, you feeling okay, man? And you pretty much laid it all out there. Is there any more words regarding your Jets before we move on?
This is, believe it or not, this season has given me more hope than most of the previous ones. At least we have like an Elijah Moore, a Michael Carter, a couple of young offensive guys who look good. Previous seasons, we don't even have that. So we take the little wins.
And so far I really would like to think they wouldn't fire coach after 1 year. Even though it didn't look good for a bit, but hey, still holding it down, and you're still on Team Saleh. You don't want him to go anywhere. Or Joe Douglas. What do you think?
Yeah, gotta give them both. I'm gonna give them both another year. Saleh's given me a little bit less. Douglas, you can go either way on, because while he does little things big things like getting that 1st round pick for Jamal Adams, he does even little things like trading away 4th string tight ends for offensive linemen who are now starting for them, and then re-signing that tight end a month later. So he got an offensive lineman for free. He does little things that give me hope for him, and he's hit on more draft picks than the Jets normally hit on. So, or at least it looks like. So I would give him I would give him more time, especially since he has all these picks he compiled. I want to see him use them. Saleh 1 year. I definitely give him more time.
Great stuff. Now let's continue with more bad teams. The Seahawks, 3 and 6. Are we seeing the end of the Pete Carroll era? Is Russell Wilson definitely not going to be on the team next year, despite rumors of him wanting out and such? What's happening with the Seahawks? Is this a team that started out last decade historic, Legion of Boom, all that fun stuff, making 2 Super Bowls last decade, and now times are changing, and it happens to every single franchise except certain ones, but the Seahawks seem to be at the end of their glory days. Do we agree or disagree?
Who wants it?
Go for
it. Russell aired his frustrations last offseason, and I think that it's just been kind of a downward escalation since then. They did all the right things and said all the right things in the offseason, but they never quite corrected the O-line. The running game's been subpar, just been in and out. And I just think looking at his body language on the field, especially Monday night against Washington, it just seems like he's a little hesitant. It seems like he's a little reserved, like he's packing it in. And I hate saying that because I know he's a competitor, but I think he's looking at the reality of the situation, that this is not the same team that he was drafted by. Pete Carroll's not the same coach. I think that he's got a little too much authoritarianism going on with that organization. And if you look at all the major statistics, all the measurable categories, they're bottom 10 in passing yards, rushing yards, points per game, points allowed. It's just a recipe for disaster. And I understand a lot of that has to do with, Geno Smith taking over. But a lot of it is the defense, and a lot of it is just shaky O-line play and poor situational football. So in addition to Russell probably being out in the offseason, I think Pete Carroll's got maybe another year or two.
All right, good stuff. Anyone else have any thoughts with Seattle, or where do they think you'll see Russell Wilson go? The teams that may need a quarterback next year, you have the Saints, you have the Giants, you have maybe the Packers if Rodgers is leaving, you have Denver.
Steelers.
I think the most likely spot, if he does go anywhere, is probably New Orleans. That system fits him with the running quarterback and the Sean Payton, and that might revitalize them a little bit. But I don't want him on the Giants, to be honest with you. I think his best days are behind him personally.
Okay,
So.
Hear that.
Aaron Rodgers, I'll take Aaron Rodgers for 2 years though, because I think he fits more of a New York style quarterback than Russell Wilson.
You'll have no complaints from me there. And speaking of the other awful teams, the most awful of them all to mention,
The Lions.
yes, 0-10-1. Are they going to win a game? I'll just simply say that. Are they going to win a game?
Did we review their schedule? I'm looking at their schedule this week. They play the Vikings, and
waxed.
That might be a close game. That could be a game they take at home. I mean, Detroit could beat them. I thought they were going to win on Thanksgiving.
I really did too. I wanted it so bad.
They didn't. Has Dan Campbell cried in the locker room at all lately, or what?
Not any other. Not that I heard of. Not since the other stuff, but probably.
Who do they have left, Alex? You got the schedule for the Lions there?
Oh God, is it even worth mentioning?
Well, we're going to see where we could find a W for them.
Well,
do they play the Jets or the Giants?
Well, I had them week 18 winning at home because I think the Packers are going to pack it in. So, but other than that, I mean, they're playing the Cardinals and the Broncos, and then they got the Falcons on the road and on the road in Seattle. So the only game
they might beat Seattle. So they have a chance this week against the Vikings at home, and they have a chance at Seattle, and the Packers at home the last game if they're resting everybody.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's going to be the last game of the year when the Packers are just resting everybody, unfortunately.
But are the Packers going to have that 1 seed or 2 seed? I think just the 1 seed gets a bye right now. With the
the 1 seed.
So they probably won't be. Are they going to be the 1 seed?
If Arizona wins out, I think they're just going to concede.
All right. Yeah, I think Alex is right. The most likely, they're most likely going to beat the Seahawks out of that bunch if they totally didn't cave in yet, or they don't. And Dan Campbell will actually be a part of 2 winless NFL teams. He was a player on the 08 team, and what can you do?
Which year?
In 08 when they went 0-17, he was on that team.
The Lions.
Yeah, the Lions.
Oh, he was on 17.
Yeah. He wasn't on the that Bucs team that started their
what futility that is.
I must say, every single week, I tell myself that the Browns, this is the week. But now I'm
Browns too.
And I will, going up, I do think Seattle could be the one where that's just like the end for Seattle. Like that's the game where everyone's like, okay, not for the season. I mean, for like, for the time being, okay, that's the game where they lose. And we all come to the agreement that Russ is gone. Pete Carroll might be done. Blow the whole team up. But
that really wouldn't be the case.
I think they're going to win every week. I try to convince myself that. I'm a DeAndre Swift fantasy owner and big fan of his. So every week I tell myself he's going to run all over someone and they're going to pull out a close one because of him. But in reality, I mean, it's hard to go winless, but they did get that tie. So now I'm thinking maybe they do go winless because that tie was their one opportunity. So
did the Colts go winless too? I think after Peyton left, right?
Winless? I don't think so.
As I look up winless NFL teams, if you're Jared Goff, are you pretty much never going to be playing again as a starting quarterback? Is this it?
He's going to be backup.
Like,
I wouldn't mind him as a backup. I wouldn't mind him as a backup on my team. I still think he's better than a lot of other backups, but I don't know if he's a starter.
And just to confirm, the winless teams has happened 5 times in the NFL. The 60 Cowboys at 0-11-1, 76 Bucs at 0-14, the 82 Baltimore Colts, Alex, at 0-8-1. And you have the Lions 0-16 and 0-8, and obviously 17 Cleveland Browns. So you do not want to be part of that. list.
So I was talking about the 2011. I think there were 1-15.
Almost, but
Almost
know.
no cigar.
You
another
gotta be pretty bad to do that, to
Yeah.
not win a game all year. That's
Eating kneecaps for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, you go winless, you have to completely restart, don't you think? Again, like how do you and Dan Campbell's a brand new coach. He hasn't won a game yet. Like might not be it might not be his cup of tea, but
That's how I knew that they're not going to win the Vikings game this weekend, because the Vikings actually still have something to play for.
Right. So another team that's been really interesting is the LA Rams, making huge in-season acquisitions. Von Miller joins the team, Odell Beckham, yet they haven't won since these acquisitions have come on the team. At the beginning of the year, people said this team is going to the NFC Championship, and now they're up in the air. How are we feeling about the Los Angeles Rams?
Well, I'll start. I mean, Beckham was with the Giants. How many playoffs games did the Giants win?
0.
Beckham went to the Browns. How many playoff games did they play in?
0.
It's not a good trend. Now they haven't won a game with Beckham. Now, I'm not blaming Odell, obviously, but until you do it, you haven't done it. So,
yeah, and the terrible loss of Robert Woods is killing them. And Matt Stafford, with his wife being a bad luck charm, though she says she will stop coming to his away games. But I don't know. It was Sean McVay. This dude had it all, and he seemed to have it back again. And now, that's what makes the NFL great, is these type of stories of overcoming challenges and making things close. But when can someone tell me the rest of their schedule as well, if they don't mind?
Well, they got a bye coming up this week. They play the Jaguars. So, I wonder if Urban Meyer will stay in LA again or do something else and not take the plane back with the team again. But I mean, at the end of the day, the Rams will get healthy and they'll get well, and Odell will score at least 2 touchdowns this week against the Jaguars.
Better hope. 2 buys.
The Rams, I feel like every year under Sean McVay are really good, and then they go through a patch. I feel like it's always this time of the year, maybe a little later.
Similar to the Cowboys.
They're the opposite. They're they're bad. And I think they have the talent. If you ask me now, I would still say my favorite is the Bucs. I just feel like a Tom Brady led team, as much as I can't stand them, is the team to beat. But I feel like this is just, par for the course with a McVay team. Is great first half of the season. We talk about, is he the best, one of the best, where does he rank in the among NFL coaches? Can this team do it all? 3/4 of the way through, we're talking about, are they real? Are they fake? What's the deal? Is Stafford, we're talking about all this. We'll see how they finish, but I do feel like this has been a trend with the Sean McVay led teams. And I question if he's a very good head coach, but I question if I wouldn't put him among the head coaching elite yet.
Yeah, and especially with this team on both sides of the ball, you have everything a coach wants in their team. Powerful pass rushers, incredible defensive backs. The weapons, even without Robert Woods, are stellar. And you have a wide receiver who could be the offensive player of the year in Cooper Kupp, but yet they're not in that category of dominant NFC teams like the Packers, the Cardinals, and the Bucs. And, like I say with anything in sports, if you're as dominant as you're supposed to be, you'll somehow win. That's how the best winners always win, no matter in sports, life, and all that mumbo jumbo. And focusing on the 3 teams I just mentioned with the Packers, Bucs, and Cardinals, are we going to see an NFC Championship with one of these 3 teams or both of them? What do you think?
So. I think so. The Bucs, like I kind of just said, I think are the team to beat. So I very much see them going there. It feels easy to say the Packers will be the other team. I could see someone beating them. I don't know why, but my gut kind of just tells me they're not. I see the Bucs going there.
Or they could beat themselves.
Right. That's another kind of like last year, but
yeah, and that changed.
I'm going Bucs. I'm going to go with the Rams. I think that they pull together. I think the Bucs will beat them, but I could see Bucs Rams, which would be a very fun, that'd be a very fun playoff matchup.
I think the first round.
I'll play the op. Oh, go ahead, Alex.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think as of today, it would be Green Bay and the Rams in the first round.
Oh, really? In that wild card matchup.
Yeah. Yep.
Russ, you have the opposite view. We'd love to hear it.
That's a great game, by the way. Green Bay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's an exciting one there, and it would be in Green Bay because they'd be the division winner.
Mhm.
Yep.
Be in Lambeau Field. Now, how has Matt Stafford done against Green Bay over his career? Speaking of Matt Stafford, you see, a lot of these teams think if we get this guy off free agent, and that guy, we're now, it's the Buccaneers picking up Brady was a great acquisition. It really was for the Buccaneers, right? We agree.
Oh yeah,
Of course.
Now I look at the NFC and I'm thinking to myself, the Murray kid, Kyler Murray, if he's healthy, and Arizona's healthy, they've got the defense. They seem to be the team to beat. And the team I'd watch out for, obviously, is the Packers with Aaron Rodgers. I still think that the Packers in Lambeau are tough out in the playoffs. I mean, when the Giants beat them there with Coughlin, when his face turned like red as can be, and that was some win. That was a huge win. But this year, I don't know. It's wide open. Any of those four teams, and then, I definitely know this. No one from the NFC East is going to anywhere near the end of the Super Bowl or in that championship game. Nobody is. So if you like Dallas, get off that bandwagon because it's over. They're going to lose this week, by the way. They're going to lose tomorrow night to the Saints. Kamara's back. Okay. Peyton hates Dallas. Trust me, they're gonna beat Dallas. The Saints are gonna beat Dallas. You heard it here first.
I think I think I'd have to put my faith in Green Bay and Tampa if the playoffs started tomorrow. I love Arizona. I liked them at the beginning of the year, and me and Kevin talked about it. I had them winning 13 games, and I stand by it. But there's just something I don't know what I'm getting in the play call from Cliff Kingsbury. I don't know if I can trust him in the playoffs. Kyler, is he going to finish the year? Is he going to stay healthy? I really like how they play football. They play great complementary football. The offseason acquisitions showed they were all in, kind of like Tampa, the way they offered to Brady when he got there last year. So I like the approach they're taking, going all in. But I mean, Green Bay's just getting healthy. They're getting Jair Alexander back, and I think they're getting one of the guys on their front four as well back. And Tampa, the only question with them is getting Devin White in time and Vita Vea, because Antonio Brown is a luxury. He's not really the commodity they need. He's not the meat and potatoes kind of receiver that they want to go to. Brady's got a lot of options. So as long as they can get Vita Vea back on their offensive line healthy and Devin White in the middle of the field, they should be back in the NFC Championship.
Hear that. Great thoughts on the NFC. Now, last thing we'll talk about is the AFC for what is mentioned and what's left. And the teams that do remain in the hunt includes Ranniello's Ranniello's Raiders. You have let me just pull up my notes that just thank you to an old Mac that just completely shut it off, but I got it right here. So, which includes in the AFC, you had the Vegas Raiders, Denver 6-5, the Colts 6-6, the Steelers 5-5-1, the Browns 6-6. On top of two stellar teams in the AFC East with the Bills and the Packers. It's been a long day with the Bills and the Patriots. And I mean, AFC is pretty wide open and it's fun. The Ravens are good. What do we think? Who do we see making a run in the AFC like that Bucs and Packers and Cardinals we were talking about?
Alex, who has the easiest schedule? Who do the Raiders have left?
Let me check. I'm not sure, but someone take the floor.
I gotcha. The AFC. One team I could tell you I'm not going to pick to go to the AFC Championship is the New England Patriots, and I'm sure that Alex already knew where I was going with that.
Whoa.
It's not a Jets Patriots hate. It's a little bit of a Jets Patriots hate thing.
A little bit.
But Belichick's the best coach of all time. I'm not impressed with them. A little impressed with them, but I'm not super impressed with them. I don't think that they had any like super convincing wins. This week will be a big one for me. If they beat the Bills, especially if they beat them convincingly, then I'll reevaluate my opinion. I don't think the Bills are going to the AFC Championship either. I like, I wonder how you guys are gonna feel about this one, but a sneaky team for me in the AFC is the Colts. I love that ground and pound like offense.
Jonathan Taylor with a breakout year.
Yeah,
dude, not only a breakout year, real quick, 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns, insane.
And there's still a quarter of the season to go.
Yeah. Yep.
I love the ground and pound, the tough defense. On any given day, that defense can shut out any not shut out, but can beat down any team in the league. They would be my sneaky pick. But if I'm playing it safe, I'm going Chiefs. I still think I think they're fine. They've clearly made their comeback.
Return to grace.
Chiefs would be exactly. Chiefs would be one, and another one I'm sneakily in on is there's a few sneaky ones in the AFC because I feel like there's not a ton of like the NFC is really top heavy with like that top four group seems to be like the best. The AFC, you've got a lot of these in the hunt teams. I think the Chargers maybe a year too early because of the new coaching staff. I think next year they're going to be really. But I think the Bengals. We've seen when they get hot earlier in the season that they can pretty much beat anyone. But we've seen at their worst they can get beat by my New York Jets. So it's a big we'll see. I think Tennessee's in trouble. I don't think they have a. They don't. I don't think that they're. They don't. I don't think they're healthy enough, and I don't think that they're sustainable. Guys like Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, who's always been hurt. Julio Jones has always been hurt. It's been years of this. I don't think they'll be healthy enough in time. So Colts a sneaky one, and Chiefs, which could be fun.
Look at that.
Real quick, just to follow up on the last 6 games for Vegas. We got Washington at home. We're going on the road to the Chiefs, going on the road to Cleveland. Then we're home for the Broncos, on the road in Indianapolis, and then at home for the Chargers to end the year. So it's going to be tough.
That is a tough schedule.
Yeah.
That's why this week against the football team's a must win.
But I'll tell you
have to beat them.
But I'll tell you one stat that makes me feel happy despite all the injuries. When Carr throws for over 300 yards, or 6-0.
Undefeated, right? I saw that stat. And Carr will probably throw for that against the football team. So the Raiders are a good pick for you this week.
Although the football team's a sneaky, they're hot right now. They're hot.
They are for a couple weeks. The Giants, week 2 should have beat them, and they should have beat the Falcons. I mean, the Giants are shoulda, but then early in the year, going 0-3 didn't help them, But this is a big game Sunday for them to get back in the hunt.
Definitely. Lots of cool games.
I'm counting on Cincinnati to fall through the cracks based on their schedule. Because Teddy, before you got on the phone, we were looking at their schedule. Their last 4 of their last 6 are like all plus 500 teams.
Right.
And I think that Buffalo's gonna stay in, and I think that the Colts are gonna get in. Like you said, I think they're very sneaky. They're built the right way, and Frank Reich's got them in the right direction. But I think, and I'm just picking with my heart, but I got the Raiders at the 7th seed, so I'm gonna go down with the ship.
Listen.
Yeah, what do you got to lose?
I'll give you something. I'll give you this next, this big stretch for the Raiders will be what I think tells us, even if they make it, we'll know after this stretch if they're good enough to, really go past, to win an actual game in the playoffs.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hey, it's a whole new generation for them to break that streak. And if anyone could do it, I would think Joe Burrow can. But this is it, guys. We have a lot of cool games coming up in the final quarter of the season. Again, I'll throw it to the floor one more time. Who has some ambitious thoughts or any final thoughts before we sign off?
I do. I don't know if this was talked about at all before I got on the call, but I'm going to take this time at the end here to shine a light on just how good Justin Herbert is. I don't know if anyone else feels the same, but I watch him. even the bad games, but the good games especially. I watch these good games and I think about the fact he's playing as a second-year quarterback with a whole new second year, second coaching staff, second playbook, everything, all the circumstances. He is destined for greatness. I'm shining my light today on Justin Herbert. Yeah, that's me.
Hey, we got it on video and audio for that. Russ or Alex, do you have anything controversial to say as well? I'm just kidding. Or anything big?
I mean, I know we said at the beginning of the year, if my memory serves me right, Matt, you threw out there comeback player of the year, and I said Burrow, and I'm sticking by that. I think it looks really good every week. And if I actually had to pick an MVP for this year, this is a long shot, but if they win and they continue to keep winning and they take the AFC South, I'm taking Jonathan Taylor. Sneaky MVP. Because think about it, 6 more weeks, he's going to be coming up on 2,000 yards. Who knows, 18, 19 touchdowns? I mean, that's a convincing case.
Yeah, especially after their very bad start at the beginning of the year. And also just makes Hard Knocks in season, which I'm surprised not a lot of people realize is out there on HBO Max right now. Must-see TV. And when they first announced that the Colts were picked, they thought, wow, we're going to see how a team deteriorates. And now they may make one of the most miraculous in-season comebacks ever.
You know, I just want to say, I want to address what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care about in-season Hard Knocks. And the reason being is that I have football during the season. Preseason and leading up to the season, I don't have my, that's my fill of football.
Yeah.
I don't care. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy, but when I'm in season, I'm just watching football. That's my fill of football. I don't need to watch in-season Hard Knocks. Maybe after the season when I'm missing football, I'll go see how the Colts, what went into the Colts' miraculous run to the AFC Championship. So, but for now, it's just not something I get my fill of football every week.
I think that's a fair evaluation of that. I've seen it. I think it is good. I do think the preseason, I've seen the first 2 episodes. The preseason version is definitely better when you can create more characters like that to focus on. But, we love football because it's unpredictable.
I don't consider it football, though. I see it more as like an entertainment ploy exclusively. I think they kind of exploit the players and they kind of push the envelope in terms of what they can get out of them for entertainment purposes, kind of the way they do with the media sessions before and after games. So I don't really like it on that level. But no, I mean, like Teddy's point, I never really considered it football. I just think it's kind of an entertainment product.
There you go.
You could show Hard Knocks to somebody who hates football and they can be interested for that very reason. I hear you guys. Oh, man. Russ, you got anything else to say with your wisdom?
Thanks, man. My wisdom is this. Expect the unexpected in the NFL, in the National Football League. Expect the unexpected.
Yeah, baby.
How can
I mean, that's all you could say, guys. It's unpredictable. Any given Sunday, anything can happen. My son told me a very interesting statistic. The week before, when one team loses the week before and the other team wins the next week. So if you're playing Team A just won, Team B just lost, they play each other the next week. Team B wins 67%. Like the streaks stop at 1. They don't even go past 1 with winning and losing. So
it's funny how that works.
It's just something to keep in mind.
Turn the tides.
It's something to keep in mind.
Epic as always, gentlemen. We have a great final month of the regular season to go on. We will check back in at the end of the month to see where things lie. And then we got playoffs, baby, even if it is a week later than usual. Let's make the most of this winter right now. Have a happy holiday season. Happy Hanukkah to all who celebrate. And yeah, Alex Ranniello, Ramblin Russ Miller, Teddy Marantz. Thank you, gentlemen, as always, and I'll see you really, really soon.
Nice to meet you.
Cheers, Matt. Take care, buddy. Peace out.
See you, boys.